Okay, part two of the class basically is phase two. Okay, so we start from phase two. This conceptualization. So actually, if you once the client actually already have a certain needs or demands, they have this idea in their head. Okay, so it is up to the engineering team, normally the architect, sometimes if it's dealing with building, and planners will come into pictures if it's dealing with development projects, and then engineers will come in, especially if it's dealing with infrastructure projects, okay, such as road and also water supply system, sewage treatment plant, etc., etc. So basically at this stage, the idea is there, but then the pictures are not there. So how big the thing will be, what sort of capacities that it can take, all these things are not clear. Okay, so basically when it comes to the conceptualizations, once the idea, like the client say, I've got this wonderful idea, I want to do the tallest building in Malaysia, that is the idea that is planted. Then the whole team now needs to actually evolve and develop this particular concept. Okay, so we go for conceptualization, and in the conceptualization report there will be actually two things. Number one is you need to define what the client wants, why the project is ongoing, what is the objective, what is it wish to achieve, and these are the report sometimes we call it feasibilities report as well. But feasibilities report is a little bit different, because feasibilities report deals also with financial aspects, like whether there's enough money to do it and all that. But if we talk about a conceptual report, it will include the client's requirement, and we call it project brief sometimes. So this is to get the gist, like a few pages, the gist of what the client wants, and then we will do a more technical things, like going to collect data from the site, going to pick up some water samples, and going to pick up some soil samples and all that, to actually do some testing work to see whether whatever that is there is actually okay. And then where are the access road, is there any existing utilities, what are the topography. So you do the survey of boundary, survey of the ground condition and all that, and survey of the ground landscape and all that. So these are the things that we actually have to gather the initial data. Okay, so all these are initial data that I can think of that you will gather at this very early stage of the project. Because that piece of land, where is the boundary, how big it is, so you actually pick up what we call the cadastral plan. So from the cadastral plan, you will see that this is the area of the project, and then you will send your surveyors down to do your topo, and then you will also check with maybe SESCO, maybe water board, and all the different authorities of the existing facilities that are around that area. You also look at the road, whether it can be accessed, how far is it from the main road, how far is it the pipeline are from the main road, would there be any problem with delivery of materials, etc., etc. So these are a very preliminary investigation report about the site. Okay, so then we will also look into statutory requirement, whether this land is actually for commercial, is it going to be for agricultural, can it be converted, what are the planning guidelines, and we will also do a lot of other studies, such as financial economics, what are the other sites that are potentially needed, that can be replacing this particular site, is there a better way of doing it, so we will also study all these things. Okay, and then second part of it, this is about feasibility studies. So after you've got all this data, all this initial data, all these initial studies, it is always good to spend some money on those initial studies, because once you got that pictures right, then it is very good for you to determine the kind of options that can be available, whether it's going to be doing 2 lanes road or 4 lanes road. Are you going to lay like 300 mm pipeline, or are you going to go straight for 500 mm pipelines? Are you going to do double lane, or are you going to do single lane? What are the sizes and capacities of the plant that you're planning to build, and all that. There can be a lot of options that are available. Like development project, you can have terrace houses, you can have terrace mixed with semi-detached houses, you can have shop lots with houses. There's plenty of options. So basically feasibility studies, you know, you gather all these things, the initial conceptual report, you take it and then you come up with this option, and in this option studies you will do what we call a feasibility report, meaning that you need to study the financial bit of things, whether part option A is a better option in terms of economics. You know, it has to be a rational decision that is made by the engineers and the team, you know, to see which option will actually suits the client's need and the budget carefully. So if we talk about not only financial but it's also economics. Financial is about dollars and cents, okay, like you have the money to build, you know, like how much money it needs, you know, so those are financial, and whether you have the cash flow and all that or not, you see. But economics is more like what kind of benefit it will bring in terms of monetary, in terms of non-monetary. It can be cost benefit ratio, it can be profitability, whether how profitable it is, and it can be return period, how many years before the project will actually make a return to you and to your client, for example. So in this case, it's actually dealing with all this, you know, the cost, the capital expenditure, maintenance cost. You do a lot of studies here now, such as life cycle costing actually, and to make sure that the whole project life cycle itself, it will actually be paid off. You know, we cannot just say that, okay, my concept is to address the issue, it solves the problems, but and then I can afford it, the client can afford it at this point in time, they can pay this amount of money, and in 3 years time they will make this return, but they did not count in the potential operation, maintenance, and also the cost of taking care of this project for the next 20-30 years until the end of the project is being complete, the lifespan of the project is being completed, you see. So it's very important. So conceptual studies will start off from client's requirement, gathering client's requirement, the objectives, and then you do your site studies, you know, and as many studies about the environment of the project, not environmental study, but the environment of the project, such as land issues, legal issues, you know, social issue, demographic, you know, who will buy this place, you know, who will actually come to live here, you know, all these social issue will be coming into pictures as well. And then you do a lot of technical studies on the site as well, and on the availability of labels, machineries, and all this. And then from there, you will come up with options. Then you will present your options to the client. And as an engineer, you don't leave your options and tell the client, I've got option A, B, C. A is like this, B is like this, C is like this. You choose yourself. There's no such thing. So you really need to choose, okay? You really need to choose for your client, to advise them. So what do you advise? You advise them from financial perspective, like how much money each option will cost, you see, and what sort of cash flow the company has in order to fulfill these particular options. And then later on, you do economic studies, because economic studies deals with the whole life cycle of the project, not only the capital cost but also economics in terms of the maintenance, operation costs as well, you see. And then how long the facilities will last, and how over these years, you know, would it bring more benefit compared to cost. The benefit and cost can be in dollars and cents, it can be in non-dollars and cents. We will also explain a lot about this engineering economics when we reach maybe week 13, or no, week 12, or week 12 actually, yeah. So we will do that in week 12, and then you also have a separate economic class that you can take with us as well, okay, in year 4. Yeah, that one is an elective, okay. So overall, economics of engineering project is very essential, because you're dealing with a lot of money here, okay. So money in the picture is quite an issue, so we really need to study the thing carefully. So you pick the option. So once the option is being confirmed, we move into development stage of the project, okay. And this development stage, we will deal with it in part 3, okay.